get iPhone 12 for a super great deal. All with real unlimited data. Super interested? Cool. Buy iPhone 12 with super fast 5G and a dual camera system. Then get real unlimited data on the Silver Unlimited plan for just $20 a month for a whole year. That's $300 in savings. Told you it was super great. Savings plus a new iPhone always makes sense. Less dollars, more sense. Now with Straight Talk.
Eddie, Hercules.
Tomorrow, our ET Vault unlocked Eddie Murphy. 5 decades of never-before-seen interviews.
It's dynamite.
Before we go, something else to smile about. Naomi Scott playing a global pop star opposite White Lotus alum Lucas Gage in the upcoming horror flick Smile.
Happening now.
San Antonio Water System says enough is enough. They're cutting off service to people who owe them money. This affects hundreds of people in apartments, but hear why it's not their fault.
Testimony begins in the trial of a man accused in a horrific murder of his ex-girlfriend. What eyewitnesses say they saw when she was shot.
Tracking tropical moisture and energy in the Gulf that's going to move inland tomorrow. I'll have the latest timing on the rain and how much we could get at where in just a bit. The News at 5 starts right now.
We begin with late-breaking news. A woman killed by her own teenage son. That's what San Antonio police say happened this afternoon just west of downtown.
Our John Paul Barajas joins us live there at the scene. John Paul, the police chief, gave an update a short time ago. So what's the latest out there?
Well, the police chief couldn't tell us too much as they themselves are still trying to figure out exactly what happened here off of Delgado and Northwest 19th Street. But the police chief did say that a 15-year-old shot his mom in the back of the head with a shotgun in their front yard. The big question is why or what led up to that shooting. We're told the mom was in her mid to late 30s and that the teen did run from the scene after the shooting but was arrested there shortly after. We asked the chief about any prior criminal history for the teen. He did not have any information at that time of the briefing, but he did say that there have been calls to this house, just not recently.
No calls to the house within the last several weeks. Neither was for a domestic-related event. My understanding right now. Again, this is all preliminary. We haven't had a lot of time to research all this.
We were just told by a supervisor who left the scene that the holdup here right now with this crime scene is that investigators are waiting for warrants. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the latest. John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, JP. New at 5, San Antonio police releasing the body cam video of a deadly encounter with a 21-year-old man at an apartment complex at Lock and Terra. It happened last month. In the video, you'll see the officer here running toward another parking lot, passing up a woman with a dog. And after that, you immediately see this black car drive up on the grassy area where the officer is standing. Both officers respond, firing their weapons. We are freezing the video, however, at that specific point so as not to show the actual shooting. The suspect behind the wheel was identified as Angel Cuevas. He was struck by the gunfire once, taken to the hospital, and that is where he later died. Officers were initially called out to the complex for simply people smoking weed, but say that the car that Cuevas was driving returned to them on records as stolen. The district attorney now reviewing this camera video.
New at 5 today, hundreds of people living in local apartment complexes are trying to figure out how to make it without water. They woke up to dry taps. The water had been cut off in their homes.
Katrina Weber shows us why they say the landlord's problems are now trickling down on them.
I turn it on. Nothing.
Juan Gonzalez definitely expected something. Water from the taps in his Westwood Plaza apartment.
I need a shower. I can't go out there sweaty and dirty and smelly.
At a different complex, the Roselawn Apartments, people woke up to the same struggle.
They ain't told us nothing. We can't flush the toilet, we can't do nothing.
I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know. I'm stressed.
The tenants say when they pay their rent, it's supposed to include their water bill.
Look, it even says the owner is responsible to pay all commercial utilities.
But the San Antonio Water System says these complexes and 2 others are behind on payments, each owing tens of thousands of dollars. After months of trying to work with the apartment owners through COVID-related struggles, the utility cut them off.
On many of these, we haven't received a payment since March.
Most of the people who we talked to say that they were completely in the dark. The first they heard of any water shutoff was from this notice from SAWS on their doors.
They are paying their rent. Their money is going towards the maintenance of the apartments, but the money is never reaching SAWS.
Both Westwood Plaza and Roselawn are owned by the same company, Pico Union Housing, which owes nearly $250,000 for both properties.
I'm not blaming nobody. It's our responsibility. It's just that lots of people have not paid their rent nor their water.
Gloria Farias says she feels for her tenants who have been paying and are left high and dry, and she's working to make things right.
I'm suffering for somebody's stupidity.
For Juan Gonzalez, this can't end soon enough. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Now to the latest on a deadly crash on 281 in Blanco County today. We first told you about this on the news at noon. Highway 281 at mile marker 496 is still shut down. DPS says the driver of a Camaro on 281 South drove into oncoming traffic today and hit an SUV and a car in the northbound lanes. The Camaro driver died there at the scene. Several other people were hurt. Some had to be airlifted to a hospital. No word on how long before that stretch of 281 will reopen. We will, of course, let you know as soon as it does.
Eyewitnesses to a shooting and a confession. That's what the prosecutors are using to prove their case against a man accused of brutally murdering and burning the body of his ex-girlfriend back in 2021. They say Andres Tarnava confessed that he killed Marisol Klingelhofer, all because he thought that she had stolen ID cards from his late father.
Erica Hernandez joins us live from the Justice Center downtown this evening. So, Erica, what's been key testimony so far?
Yeah, Ursula, the state so far has been putting up some compelling evidence. They called up two men today who were friends with Marisol Klingelhofer, and they told a jury they were with her when they say Andres Tarnava shot her.
And so I'm going toward the truck, and when he was going toward the truck, I saw him pull out something, and it looked like a gun to me, so I got up and I ran, and that's when he opened and he shot her twice.
Ruben Arguello, recalling the moments his friend Marisol Klingelhofer was shot and killed in April 2021. Arguello, who is being held in jail on an unrelated drug charge, was called to testify against Andres Tarnava. Tarnava charged with Klingelhofer's murder back in May 2021. According to Arguello, he and Klingelhofer were sitting in a truck talking and drinking when he noticed Tarnava come toward them with a gun. He said he jumped out of the vehicle, but Klingelhofer didn't.
I heard her say no, and then he shot her once, and she started yelling again, and he shot her a second time, and I didn't hear no more voice of her.
Prosecutors called a second witness who was also there to testify, another friend who told the jury the exact same story.
He had the door open and he shot a couple of times. It was probably about 3 or 4 times.
Who did he shoot?
Marisol, she was in the truck.
Both witnesses testifying Tarnava threatened them to stay quiet.
He was scaring us not to say anything. And we stayed quiet, and it's a scary feeling, like you don't know what to do.
Klingelhofer's remains were later found burned in barrels on Tarnava's property. As for the defense, they did not do an opening statement, but during cross-examination, they did try to discredit those eyewitnesses. Now, the trial is on recess tomorrow because of the federal holiday, but it will resume on Thursday morning. Live at the Cadena Reeves Justice Center, Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Erica, thank you. This morning, we got a small preview of what could be to come tomorrow. A few quick rain showers.
Yes, they were quick, but a lot more is on the way thanks to what's brewing in the Gulf. The question is, how much could we get and when is it going to get here? Adam Caskey tracking the rain and has the answers. Adam.
Hey, really, most of it will be tomorrow afternoon and through this time tomorrow. So don't expect to wake up to the rain tomorrow. Taking a look at Authority radar and the activity. Really not much out there to speak of at the moment. Not much to talk about in terms of actual rain. We've had a few little spritzes and sprinkles and a few dotting the landscape in and around within 1604 and 410 in and around San Antonio, but not a lot to talk about out there at the moment. Temperatures in the 90s, but notice weather watchers, Michael's backyard in New Braunfels, 0.17 inches of rain recently from some of those showers. So they have produced for a few neighborhoods, but much better rain is on the way. More beneficial, more meaningful rain. Tomorrow, 70%, so becoming fairly widespread, especially in the afternoon and into tomorrow night. Thursday, 40% chance, and then Friday, just a few isolated pop-up showers. We're watching development in the Gulf of Mexico. The Hurricane Center, I should say, is focused on this cluster of storms in the southern Gulf, in the Bay of Campeche. What we're focused on here is this activity that's between New Orleans and Cancun and even stretches back closer to Cuba. This area, this energy and moisture seen on the tropical satellite imagery, that's headed our way. I'll time it out for you, have the futurecast, and talk more about where most of the rain is going to fall in just a bit.
Thank you, Adam. President Joe Biden announcing an executive action on Tuesday to protect the undocumented spouses and children of U.S. citizens.
The decision will provide legal status and protections to about 500,000 families. The announcement coming days after the 12th anniversary of DACA, which then President Barack Obama established to give legal protections to undocumented immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children.
Jen Sullivan takes a look at how Biden's new executive order would work and what it means for those impacted.
Of the United States of America.
The path to U.S. citizenship is lengthy. Right now, undocumented people who marry U.S. citizens have to request parole before they can even apply to live in the U.S. legally. In some cases, they're required to leave the country and re-enter legally to be eligible for a green card. President Joe Biden wants to change that.
But living in the United States all this time with fear and uncertainty, we can fix that.
Tuesday, Biden announcing an executive order to provide legal status to undocumented people who are married to U.S. citizens and their children. To qualify, a person must have lived in the U.S. for at least 10 years as of June 17th.
For that's generations have been renewed, revitalized, and refreshed by the talent, the skill, the hard work, the courage, and determination of immigrants coming to our country.
The action would protect about 500,000 families and 50,000 children under the age of 21, according to a senior Biden administration official. Many Democrats are praising the move.
They should not have to fear deportation.
The announcement comes just 2 weeks after Biden took action to block migrants who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border illegally from receiving asylum. Many critics want to see Biden take a harsher stance on illegal immigration. House Speaker Mike Johnson tweeting just 2 weeks ago the president pretended to crack down on the open border catastrophe by engaging in election year border charade. Now he's trying to play both sides and is granting amnesty to hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Tomorrow is Juneteenth. It's a federal holiday. That means a number of municipal offices, facilities, and organizations are going to close their doors. Now, most municipal offices here in San Antonio will be closed. Public safety and emergency services are going to be operating, though. To take a look at the list of what's open and what's closed tomorrow, just head over to KSAT.com.
Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. We're going to take you to the TransGuide camera. I-10 at UTSA Boulevard. This is looking back at the I-10 1604 interchange. Plenty of construction. It's been going on for weeks, months in that area. Definitely something for drivers to pay attention to as they make their way through this busy part of town. Millions of Americans have diabetes, and it's a real issue here in South Texas. So when the temperatures rise each summer, diabetes becomes an even bigger problem. How to manage in the heavy heat if you're diabetic. Here's a look at what we're working on for the news at 6 o'clock today. We're getting an explanation about actions being taken to curb an overflow at the Bexar County Jail. We'll break down where inmates have been sent and why Bexar County Commissioner's Court didn't approve money requested for this today. Plus, it's a controversial fund that could be used to help women travel out of Texas to access legal abortions. And the San Antonio City Council wants it rolled out faster. How long it could be before the Reproductive Justice Fund actually gets used. That's today at 6.
More than 38 million Americans are estimated to have diabetes, which can be a problem at any time of the year. But summer is especially concerned. As temperatures rise, those with this disease need to be extra careful.
Yeah, that caution comes as experts say that people who have diabetes can actually feel the heat more than people who aren't diabetic. Mandy Gaither has ways to manage diabetes in the heat.
Extreme heat can be hard on everyone, but experts say it's especially dangerous for those with diabetes.
Patients with diabetes have to be really careful in the heat, to really think even more than they normally do about the direction of their blood sugar.
Dr. Bithika Thompson with Mayo Clinic says sweating can make you dehydrated, which affects the body's ability to normalize blood sugar. In a diabetic patient, that can make sugar levels in the blood get dangerously low or high.
So it's kind of a slippery slope there where it makes you quite ill.
Thompson says those with diabetes can protect against extreme heat, check blood sugar levels often, maintain good hydration, stay indoors during the hottest part of the day, but make sure you're still getting some physical activity.
You need to have a plan to keep yourself active because you don't want to get through the summer months without any significant activity and have that, be a risk to you and your overall health with your diabetes.
Heat can also affect diabetes supplies, equipment, and medication too. Thompson says to make sure you don't keep them in a hot car, follow instructions from a doctor or on the label on how to store it. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
High temperatures, not necessarily the big thing we're watching right now weather-wise. We are waiting for rain.
Yeah, isn't it nice to at least have some rain in the forecast?
Yes. In the middle of summer? Are you kidding?
Right? Yeah, it's not going to eliminate the drought or completely erase it for us, but it will make a difference, especially in the areas where we see some of the more continuous showers and downpours. And I think at locations especially south of Highway 90 and south of I-10 is where we'll have the highest amounts. Look at our rain chances throughout tonight. First of all, not that much. We're talking a 10 to 20% chance. Tomorrow, we'll wake up mainly just to low clouds and a few streamer showers, kind of like what we had earlier today. But by tomorrow afternoon, even by 1, 2 o'clock, those rain chances are up to 60%. And by this time tomorrow, they're up to 70%. So don't expect to wake up to the rain, but for it to gradually move in throughout the day. Here's a look at our futurecast. Widespread clouds in the morning tomorrow. The rain around sunrise closer to the Gulf Coast, just slowly moving inland, and it's not going to be a continuous shield of rain. It's going to be intermittent. But by the time we get to the noon hour, I think raindrops will be a little more commonplace across south central Texas, but then especially by this time tomorrow. And our futurecast is indicating that. And notice it also picks up, of course, on pockets of heavier rain possible. Don't pay close attention to the exact location, just the mere fact that it's picking up on some of the heavier showers, because this is tropical in nature in the sense that it has a lot of moisture from the ground all the way up 30,000 feet high in the sky. And that just adds to the amount of rain that you can squeeze out of the clouds. Think of the atmosphere like a really, really wet sponge, and then the energy moving in with it as our hands just wringing it out. The wetter that sponge, the more you can wring out. So we'll have some of these downpours and tropical in nature from time to time. No threat for hail, severe weather, very unlikely. The only concern really is the potential for some flash flooding and street flooding. And that basically goes all the way through tomorrow night. Into the Thursday morning commute, some stray showers, but then more pop-up activity developing by Thursday afternoon. But we think most of the rain is going to fall for the majority of us tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. Of course, accumulations will vary significantly north to south. And the real sweet spot for the heaviest rain, where we have the highest flooding potential, south of I-10, south of Highway 90, particularly Cotulla, Tilden, Los Angeles. We're talking 4 to 7 inches, even toward Beeville and Victoria, Goliad. San Antonio area, I think closer to 2 to 4, but there will be pockets where it's slightly less. It depends on the exact neighborhood. But notice as you go north of San Antonio, those greens kick back in and then fade away. So the lesser amounts farther north of Highway 90 you're located. That's the nature of these systems. Now check this out. This is a little swirl the Hurricane Center is just so eager to give a name to. It just wants to name it. It's not there yet. And even if it gets a name, ho-hum, honestly. It doesn't change anything. So ignore all headlines if you hear, oh, Tropical Storm Alberto's in the Gulf. It doesn't make a difference to us, folks, okay? So it doesn't matter. Ooh, this could have winds of 45 miles per hour, which means it would get a name. Doesn't change anything. The impact for us will be the same. It's always good to look at the spaghetti plots, keeping all that action mainly to the south of us. So those rain chances increasing through the afternoon and evening tomorrow. Check that out. 82. The high temperature, 80 in Helotes, 82 Poteet, Tarpley at 81 tomorrow. Still some pop-up afternoon or even just daily showers throughout the day on Thursday at 40%. And then this weekend, back in the mid-90s, but that's close to average.
I like it when we're abnormal in this
right?
one.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Larry, we got some disappointed Mavs fans today.
We do, but we have some happy Celtics fans, and me personally, I'm happy to see Derek White win an NBA championship. Coming up, Jaylen Brown talks about being named the Finals MVP, and the Smithson Valley Rangers are grinding and working hard as they get ready for the new season. Coming up. The Boston Celtics beat the Dallas Mavericks last night to win the 2024 NBA Finals in 5 games. The Celtics led from start to finish and by as many as 26 points to defeat the Mavs 106-88 to claim their 18th NBA championship, the most in league history. Jaylen Brown was named the Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP, named after the Celtics legend and Hall of Famer.
To be honest, I can't even put it into words. Just Bill Russell and what he's meant for me through my Boston journey. And his spirit, you know, everything that he stood for, just for this to be the Bill Russell MVP award, and I got nothing, man. I don't even know what to say. It's unreal.
Celtics guard Derek White lost part of a tooth last night. He'll talk about that coming up at 6. The only San Antonio area high school football team to make it to a state final last year was the Smithson Valley Rangers, and the Rangers are already getting after it with summer conditioning drills. The Rangers are hoping for a smooth transition into their jump to playing 5A ball, and head coach Larry Hill wants his guys to take advantage of these morning moments.
We tell our players everybody's getting the same amount of days that you get. Now, so what do you do with yours, you know? And so we're very insistent that it's our coaches working with the kids. Things done exactly right in the weight room. You know, every drill we have has a way that it needs to be done. And we don't mind reminding them if they're not doing it up to our level, because we know what you're after. If you want something that's very difficult to attain, then it comes with a high price tag. And those expectations don't go away just because it's June.
And even in these workouts, Coach Hill wants his players to feel the intensity of competition ramping up to the regular season.
Well, I think there needs to be a little pressure in each drill. You know, I mean, we're not keeping score, but whether it's competing against the other guy, there's a clear-cut winner or loser in every drill, or there's maybe 3 or 4 bullet points at each drill that a coach brings up has to be done exactly like this, or we do it again. Those are little things, but pay attention to detail and playing with effort. I don't want to be coaching that in a crucial part of the game. That just needs to be the world they live in year-round.
Coach Hill and the Rangers will kick off their season on the road against Roosevelt on Thursday, August the 29th. We'll be right back after the break.